Okay, hello, hello. And the next wine we're presenting is 2017 Petite Sirah, Mr. Big. And this is a huge wine. And it's probably one of our most popular club release wines. It's the most asked for in the tasting room. The name. There's some speculation on the name, Mr. Big. But word has it that Allie's a big Sex in the City fan. And so that's where that kind of maybe originated from. However, once you get into the wine, then it goes another way. So again, this is a estate-grown, 100% Petite Sirah from Destiny Ridge, Horse Heaven Hills. Petite Sirah has an incredible history. It's also known as Durif, and actually Rick might say something about that.
Sure. Yeah. So interestingly enough, like you said, it is also known as Durif, which is actually however you pronounce that. I'm not gonna lie like I know what I'm saying, but so it's actually named after a gentleman, Francois Durif. So back in the 1860s, he had a nursery in which he had some plantings of Syrah and a grape that I was formerly pretty unfamiliar with, the Peluricine, which I have never tasted on its own, never heard of it blended. But what had happened is, and UC Davis has confirmed this through DNA profiling, but what actually happened was the Syrah pollen made its way to the Peluricine flowers and essentially pollinated that plant. So it became a cross-pollination. So there's a little bit of confusion because you do get a lot of folks that there's still some places in France and in California where they'll refer to the small yields of Syrah in certain vintages as a Petite Sirah. So it's kind of, the pronunciation can be kind of important. So Syrah versus Syrah. But you know, as with a lot of wine, it's there's always exceptions, and people from different places do different things. So, but believed to originate in the northern Rhone of France, so kind of south. You know, if you look at, I always try to turn countries into hands. So if this is France, you're looking at right around there, a little bit south of Central and a little bit off to the west, if you can kind of get that idea. So that's kind of the basics of where this bad boy came from, and it is just, it lives up to that Mr. Big name. It is a beast, commonly blended to help kind of add some of that girth to some weaker wines. So as far as tasting notes, Russell, if you wanted to take it away and jump on that first, I was pretty pleased.
All of a sudden, once you smell it, it leaves Syrah in the dust. The color is just this amazing deep purple. It is like a black hole. And on the nose, it just gets better and better. And I'm just picking up a ton of black fruit, plum, and oh my God, licorice. You get this huge dose of smoke and a little bit of tobacco. And then there's this delicate floralness on the end. It's got like maybe a little bit of heather, just some kind of funky wildflower smell to it.
Yeah, I got, when I previously had tasted this wine, I opened it up a little bit too cold. It was still kind of close to cellar temp. And then, so it was a little bit muted, but as it sort of developed, so I started getting vegetal character to start. And then as it warmed up, I just got green pepper for days on this thing. At first, I was only able to really pick it up on the finish. But, and this is one of those big tannic wines that I prefer not to decant. Actually, I actually like to let something like this develop in the glass just because of the way that bouquet evolves. I mean, it's just fantastic. Every spin in the glass gives you a note.
Normally, I would decant something like this, but I have to agree, it is fine just straight out of the bottle and let it work its magic. Now the taste, it just, you get blasted again by plum, licorice, smoke, tobacco, chocolate, a little bit of chocolate and leather, and that's where those tannins and a little bit of acid start working together, and kind of make it a little bit leathery. You get, and again, trademark Horse Heaven Hills minerality on the end of it.
Yeah, I mean, a tannin bomb. I mean, it's just got such good grip, but not, it's not like chewing on a paper towel. It's, it still has that creamy, that smooth mouthfeel to it. And those tannins don't stick around too long. It hits you and then it just kind of washes back, and it's an outstandingly made wine.
Now, food.
Yeah.
There's a lot of options here, but there's a ton. But maybe some of my favorite pairings for a wine like this would be to maybe something a little bit more gamey. As I've kind of aged and palate has developed, I really like elk and venison. Especially living out in the country, I've been for so many years, had a lot of elk, but venison's a little bit lighter, and I think it would complement it quite well, especially with some fresh chanterelle mushrooms.
Okay. Yeah, I was, I always struggle with red wine pairings because obviously they almost always it goes straight to meat. You need the protein. So at the risk of sounding too easy, this thing coupled with a brisket and some baked beans would just be out of this world. But you brought up the gaminess. I'd actually be curious how this would go with something like a duck. So it's a little bit lighter, obviously being a bird, but I think, if you got some decent char on it, maybe if it was, some flame grill on there, I'd just be curious. But one thing I always like to add with big tannic wines, talking about food, is, the grilled meat aspect. I think this would be incredible with some grilled lamb. But when you have a wine that's this tannic, you want to be careful in exactly how long you cook that. Anything beyond medium rare, or anything really heavily flame seared, is going to cause a pretty substantial bittering effect. So the carbons in the char interact with the proteins in the tannin, and it actually increases the bitterness. So you got to kind of find that balance. But yeah,
that's where maybe that brisket on a smoker.
Exactly. Yeah, a little slow cooking.
Ideal.
Yeah.
And you know what? This is a good one to pair with a cigar. I say, hey, a couple of my favorites that this would pair good with: Oliva Series G, or maybe an Ashton VSG, or this one.
You got me beat on the cigars. That's one arena I'm not too familiar with. So I'm glad you had that in the back pocket.
And that's what I'm going to be doing.
For the rest of the day.
Right.
Well, I think that's a good note to end on. Then that was a nice touch. I wish making me jealous over here.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, brother Rick.
Yeah, no, it was good seeing you. And if the barbershops don't open up soon, I'm going to be looking more and more like you here.
That's right. We'll be hippie twins.
Well, man, all right. I guess that's us signing off. To all our club members and
cheers
beyond that, and for future club members, yeah, cheers.
That's
and
right.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging in with us.
Okay, bye, guys.
All righty, adios.